What's going on, and welcome to the New Music Business. I'm your host, Ari Herstand, author of How to Make It in the New Music Business. Third edition is now out on audiobook and hardcover and ebook and Kindle and however you consume books. I love audiobooks. And if you can handle my voice for 20 hours, well, I guess if you're listening to this podcast, you're not completely repulsed by my voice. You can pick up the audiobook wherever you get audiobooks, Audible, Apple Books. Spotify has audiobooks now, believe it or not. You have to buy them. Thank God. They haven't taken away that revenue stream yet from authors. Only musicians. But just kidding. We'll get into that. Today is, I don't have a guest. This is a Q&A. Periodically, I do Q&As of your questions. And if you'd like to submit a question, we'll put the link below, but also in the show notes. Also, you're going to want to get on that email list. That's where we kind of ask for people to submit their questions. Just visit aristake.com, get on the email list, and we'll send out new episodes, important information about the new music business, stuff we're doing, all that stuff. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter at Ari's Take. You can find me at Ari Herstand on Instagram and Twitter. If you could just pause actually right now and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to us wherever you're listening to this, follow the show if you'd like more episodes to come in your feed. Check it out. All right, let's kick into the show. So, first question comes from Newton Pritchett from Chicago. He's a singer-songwriter. All right, who is the first team member a band or artist should look for? And what's the best approach to finding them? Thinking lawyer, manager, PR, etc. All right. So I as you know, those of you who've read the book, I talk about this kind of in the book. It's the new team, I call it. And no emerging artist is ready for the traditional team of the manager, the booking agent, the lawyer, the PR, the publicist rather. It's what you first want to, the first team members that anyone is going to have are friends, family, people that believe in you. So, this could be your roommate, your best friend, your partner, your parents, whatever, that just want to help out. And the thing is that I would much rather have someone who's passionate about what I'm doing and not be as experienced or as connected than someone who is experienced or connected and doesn't give a shit about what I'm doing and they're like doing it for a favor or something like that, because that's not who you want on your team. You want people music is a passion business, and you need passionate people who believe and are passionate about what you're doing to be on your team. So you need to know what needs to get done, or they need to know what needs to get done. Someone on your team needs to know what needs to get done. That's what my book is all about, what needs to get done. But nobody can do it all on their own. DIY, the term DIY, do it yourself, is a misnomer. Nobody ever does it by themselves. That's impossible. But a lot of people don't have the traditional team. I interviewed Theo Katzman on this show. Actually, it was a live episode for my book release, book signing. And I just saw him actually the other night at the Wiltern, 2,300 cap Wiltern, by the way, in LA. 2,300 cap room he played. He has no record label. He has no manager. No manager. Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe. And there's not everyone like him. But, of course, he's from the band Wolfpack, and Wolfpack similarly doesn't have a manager or a record label. A lot of bands out there are actually thriving without the traditional team. Now, that's not to say that everybody can do it. I know artists who really benefit from managers and booking agents and record labels. Absolutely. But you don't want to look at them as a crutch. You want to look at them as teammates and partners. Now, very few team members, except publicists, and we're going to get to publicists in a second, very few team members, or lawyers, and we'll get to them in 2 seconds, very few other traditional team members The ones that are essentially working for commission, which is like managers, booking agents, record labels, that kind of stuff, publishing companies, all of that, are going to work with emerging artists that don't have an income yet. Because if they're working on commission, they're not going to work for free unless they really, 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 really believe that you are the next Radiohead or whatever, or Jay-Z. But that's very, very rare. Even if they love what you're doing, like not many people can work for free. Everyone's got to pay their bills, and if they have enough money or they have clients that are paying all their bills and like you're their passion project, they're still not going to have that much time for you. So, but that's also an anomaly. That's rare. You have to think about it. This is the music business, and they are only going to be able to work with people, no matter how much they love it, that help their business, and their business is making money from your business, and that then becomes their business. So managers make the typical commission is 15 to 20% of your gross, of all the money that comes in. If you're only bringing in $1,000 a month in your music revenue, or let's even say $2,000 a month, my math isn't that good, but 20% of $2,000 is $400. $400 for the entire month. That's like in the amount that they actually have to work to get an emerging artist off the ground is way more than what $400 is going to cover for that. Even if you're at $10,000 a month, which is that's $120,000 a year. Even if you're bringing in $10,000 a month, a manager at 20%, that's only $2,000 a month for that manager. So at 20%, even $2,000, that's poverty level. If you're their only client, of course, you're probably not going to be their only client, but think about what $2,000 a month of work actually looks like. And it helps you put things in perspective as to why a lot of managers and agents aren't necessarily ready to jump on with you. They need to know what the books look like because and sure, there are best friends. There are managers. There are people that believe so much in what you're doing that they will invest their time right now in not making much money at all, and because they believe that very soon they will exponentially make so much more money. There is that. But getting back to your question, Newton, find people who are passionate about what you're doing, no matter who they are. Those are the first team members. Now, getting to your question about PR, music PR specifically, let's talk about this because things have changed a lot in the last 10 years. And PR works very differently in 2023 than it did in 2013. Let's break this down because there's a lot of confusion out there about what music PR is and if it's worth it anymore. All right, so first off, what is PR and why would you want it? So PR, it's really just, it stands for public relations, PR. It's really, getting any media looks for your project. So, traditionally it was like, magazines, newspaper articles, that kind of stuff. Nowadays it's like blogs, publications, podcasts are big, late night TV shows, morning, local news shows, anything like that. Pretty much anything that has to do with you getting looks in media, that's PR. But really, traditionally, it was earned media. So not like advertising, not marketing, not stuff that you pay for that. So it's not like running ads. That doesn't really fall under the umbrella of PR. Running ads is marketing. So marketing, like paid marketing, all within marketing, that's like running ads. PR is really supposed to be earned media. And how do you get that? Well, that's the job of a publicist, theoretically. And publicists are the ones that work for the artists. And the business model, this is what I struggle with. And this is where traditional publicists have not updated their model, and they need to. Because things work very, very differently now. Because what's the point of press anymore for artists? 10 years ago, sure. 10 years ago, if you got a write-up, a premiere in Consequence of Sound or something, that would generate hundreds of thousands of streams within days. Not to mention, and these are hundreds of thousands of people that read that article, jumped on over to their streaming platform or whatever. At the time it was like SoundCloud, and they would stream you. And then if they liked it, they become fans. So that did move the needle. Actually getting written up in high profile blogs 10 years ago, that was great. That was how you did it. But now no one's discovering music from blogs anymore. It's just not happening. So what's the point of press? Let's talk about it. Well, if somebody discovers your song on a playlist or on TikTok or whatever, sure, they might Google you. And if you got some legitimate press articles showing up, one, it adds legitimacy to you. And like, oh, this is an artist that's on the rise. They're doing stuff. People are talking about them. Okay, that's validation for their new discovery. That's important. That's helpful. And then, if they click into it, they can read about you. They can learn more about you. It helps, tell your story. Who are you? Where are you from? They get to know your bio a little bit deeper, written by a respected publication that they know and they respect. And it can also help your SEO if they, the publications, the blogs like link back to your website. That helps your website track higher on Google. Your images will start populating Google. And then, of course, you can post screen grabs from those publications to your Instagram. And then, your friends and family and your fans, these fans will be like, oh, wow, they're like getting really good looks. You're getting good looks and they're proud of you. And this is like, it looks really cool. And it can be helpful in that respect. Now, when we talk about, is it moving the needle? Well, it's not as measurable as it was before. Now, where I struggle with music PR now is the business model, because most publicists charge an arm and a leg for their services, whether they're successful or not. So let me just break down the business model of PR. You pay a publicist a monthly retainer, a monthly amount for a campaign, and it's no small amount. We're talking, this is thousands of dollars, okay? Like most publicists charge between $1,000 and $5,000 a month. And I've worked with publicists on both ends of the spectrum. I've worked with a lot of publicists. So, I'm speaking from experience. And for any of the publicists that are listening right now, don't take this personally. Don't take what I'm saying personally. I know I'm attacking your business model and your business, and you're going to get defensive, and I respect that. But I'm keeping it real for artists, because that's what I'm looking out for right now. And the publicists that are charging thousands of dollars to emerging independent artists, when they know full well that these artists probably should not be spending their money on PR at that point, because it's just they're not going to be successful with it, I don't really support this business model. The business model of paying thousands of dollars a month to publicists, whether they're successful or not, because that's the thing. You're not paying for results with traditional publicists. And there's one caveat we're going to get to in a second. You're not paying for results with traditional publicists. You're paying for their effort, their time, their connections, theoretically. Frankly, I don't give a fuck about effort. Like, I don't care. Do you? Do you care? Like, oh, you worked really, really hard, but you didn't achieve anything you were going to achieve. But you know what? Good job. Here's $20,000. Get the fuck out of here. You can do with $20,000 if you put that towards ads or, tour support or whatever, inventory, merch, so many more ways that you could spend your money. If you have money to burn, sure. That can be helpful. But unless you're an artist, a mid-level artist that is going on tour and you want to, contact all local media and they can help with that, or you have millions, hundreds of millions of streams and, millions of monthly listeners, and you have celebrities and superstars that are singing your praises, that's newsworthy. That's something that publicists can leverage into a lot of really, really good press, theoretically. Again, nothing's guaranteed. And then it might be worth hiring a publicist. If you think you're at the level, not quality-wise, because I know you all think that you're great, and you probably are, but if you are, have hundreds of millions of streams, and you are going on pretty big tours, then yeah, they could probably help you get on late night shows or whatever. If you're not, like the vast majority of emerging indie artists out there, PR, where you pay somebody for their effort and they don't need to deliver, it's not a good use of your money. Again, the business model is what I struggle with so much. And, because I recently worked with a publicist and they are a very, very respectable, legitimate publicist for an artist that I'm working with. And their job, as we paid them, a monthly amount, was to find media. And we actually sent them a list early on. We're like, hey, these are the target outlets that we're looking to get. And, we interviewed a bunch of publicists before we decided to go with this one. And I'm not going to call them out because this is not meant to shame anyone. It's just, I'm just sharing my experience here. And the thing is that, we sent them a list of target outlets. There was like maybe 15 or 20 on there. And we're like, hey, these are the target outlets. These are what we want. They took a look at the list. They're like, yeah, totally reasonable. I think we're going to have great success. I genuinely think they believed that. I genuinely think they were good people. And, they really loved the music. They believed in the music. That's what you want theoretically. But in the end, after, and it was an album campaign and all of that, and, for an artist that was going to South by, so there's like a lot of stuff that you could theoretically leverage and talk about, especially this album release, and there was some buzzy newsread stuff. In the end, they didn't get any of those publications on our list. They got one, except the one that they got, they came to us and like, hey, Wonderland is really interested, loves the single, wants to premiere. We're like, sweet, amazing. Wonderland's huge. They got over 1 million Instagram followers, and like, yeah, they're very reputable and respectable, and they're fantastic. Amazing, cool, thank you, great. And they're like, yeah, well, it's going to be $500. I'm like, what do you mean? Aren't we paying you thousands of dollars for this PR campaign? They're like, yeah, well, unfortunately, a lot of publications, this is where it's moving these days, is they're paying for inclusion. I'm just like, what? Well, what are we paying you for? If I could just go over there and, pay for inclusion, so you're like, well, no, I'm not going to, our PR budget's maxed. That's what I thought I was paying you. And now you're telling me that Wonderland will write about it if we pay an additional $500? What's going on here? So this business model, and to get back at this, in the end of this, I don't think it was worth it. Now, I've run various PR campaigns over the last few years with various artists of varying degrees, of varying levels, some are bigger, some are smaller, album campaigns, tours, whatever. And by and large, it's a better use of your money to be spending it on ads and, guaranteed stuff that you can guarantee results and success on. Because again, you're going to pay the publicist the exact same amount, whether they get you on the Tonight Show and the cover of Rolling Stone and in a 9.3 review on Pitchfork, as if they get you nothing. You pay them the exact same amount. Yeah, they could literally get you nothing. They could get you a bunch of shitty little blogs, which, publicists will do to add a line item to their press report and be like, hey, we got you all of these, shitty little things. And it's like, okay, well, what does that do for me? I'm not going to post that. It looks really bad. You go to some of these websites. Oh my God. Some of these websites haven't been updated since 2003. And I was like, why? I'm not going to promote this. This looks really bad for me. This doesn't look good. So I'm not going to promote that. But they get to add it to their spreadsheet. They're like, see, we did all this work. It's like, well, yeah, but our target list, the ones that we actually wanted, you didn't get any of, even though you said you would, but we're still paying you all the money. So that's this business model is challenging me. I don't support it. Now, there is one caveat, and I wrote about this in the book. Over the pandemic, I hosted a Clubhouse discussion. Remember Clubhouse? And it was the state of music PR. And I was like, is music PR worth it? And how does this work? And I had 7 or 8 publicists on this discussion. And it was we were a little panel discussion. We're going around. And, one publicist, I'll use his name because he's public about this now. Mikel, he's a friend of mine, Mikel Carente. He runs Purple Bite PR. He was basically saying PR needs to change. Writers of these publications are not being paid. That's immoral. I think that writers of these publications should get paid. And I don't support the publicist model anymore, where he's like, I don't feel good when artists pay me and I can't deliver for them, that doesn't feel right. And he's like, so I've changed our business model where we're paying publications for inclusion. Now, this goes against all traditional, journalistic ethics and standards. And it was an uproar on the Clubhouse thing. Every publicist was like, how dare you? This is against everything we stand for. PR is earned media, not paid. Like, you shouldn't be paying for inclusion. And he's like, well, should you be taking artists' money and not delivering? Like, that's immoral. And also, should these writers of these publications not be getting paid? That's also immoral. It's like, you know what? I agree. Like, I personally, as an artist, I would much rather pay for guaranteed results. So that's what Mikkel's model. He's at Purple Bite. I'm gonna give him a plug because I support the model. Purplebite.com, I believe, is the website. And it's basically, he's like, here's a list of publications that we've worked with in the past. And you pay us, and it's way cheaper than any other PR company, $1,000 or something. And we will guarantee you at least two write-ups in one of these publications or your money back. Guaranteed. No other publicist is doing that. No one says, like, we're going to guarantee you X, Y, and Z or your money back, because they're like, well, no, you're paying us for our time, like, effort. I'm like, again, I love you. Don't care about your effort. I care about results. So, like, if I want one of these publications, I'm very happy to pay for it if I'm going to get it. And there's like, oh, you pay, here's $2,000 for the entire campaign. You're going to get like 4 or 5 write-ups in one of these publications and looks in these. I'm like, okay, at least I know that I'm going to secure press that I care about, not these bullshit little blogs or whatever, or podcasts that nobody listens to, or any of this stuff. Like, at that point, it's like a lot of publicists work on, quantity, as long as we can fill up the spreadsheet with a bunch of line items of, press and looks that we got you, then they're like, oh, we did our job. It's like, well, no, like, what do artists really care about? It's like, they want something they can share on their social media. They're not going to share a review on some disgusting looking website from 2003, even if it says nice things. So, they want something they can share. And this is something that is shareable. So this model is really interesting, and the whole industry is moving to that. Even the publicists that I hired that said, that I was paying them a monthly retainer, and they brought us the Wonderland bit for $500, and they're like, unfortunately, a lot of publications are moving to this in this realm. Now, Mikkel will tell you with Purple Bite, all the publications have editorial discretion. So it's not like you can just pay and they'll write about you. You can pay, or no, and this is not Submit Hub either. Submit Hub is a different model, and I'll talk about that in a second. What this is like, these are legitimate publications. We're talking, I should pull up the list, but we're talking pretty substantial publications, Flaunt and Wonderland, and I should pull up this list here. Mundane and Grimy Goods and Flaunt and Ear Milk, Consequence of Sound, Paper, Vice, Pitchfork, Rolling Stone. Now, not all of these, just to be clear, not all of these are paid placement for inclusion, but some of them are, and some of them have moved to this model. What they're doing is saying, we have worked with all these publications. Some of them charge us for inclusion if they want to write about it. Some of them don't. We're going to work your, the campaign, the single or whatever it is. And if we get one of these, whether they're paying us or not, then we check it off and money well spent. If we don't get one of these, we give your money back. And, I appreciate that. I will much rather pay for results, knowing that I am going to get one of these legit publications, even if it's only 2 or 3. I'd rather get 2 or 3 really, really good ones than 15 shitty little bullshit ones that I can't share. So the state of music PR, where we're at right now, like, is it worth it anymore? Well, it depends on your goals and intentions. It really depends on what level of you're at your career and what you want. And, like I said, for independent emerging artists that are not on a big tour, that don't have hundreds of millions of streams, that don't have celebrities or superstars talking about them, saying that stuff that they can blow up with that, it's not worth it, really. If you want a few press articles, you can try Purple Byte's program and you're going to get something. But to hire a publicist at $2,000-$3,000 a month for a 4-month campaign or whatever, and you're spending $12,000 on this, spend that money elsewhere. That is way too much money for any independent artist to be spending on PR when it's not worth it. Now, once you get nominated for a Grammy, hell yeah, hire that expensive publicist. They will walk you down the red carpet. They will, send out these press releases and these media alerts talking about, your whole thing. But until then, invest your money elsewhere, or try Purple Byte's program if you want guaranteed results. I mentioned SubmitHub. SubmitHub's very, very different. They have tiny blogs on there. And that's the thing, if you just want to populate Google, if you just want a bunch of write-ups in something, then use SubmitHub. Because basically what you do is you only pay a few bucks per blog, per editor, per writer to review your song. And similarly, if they like it, they'll write about it. And if they don't, they won't. You're not paying them for inclusion on SubmitHub. You're paying them to listen for review. And, it's a little different model. But if that's your goal, if all you want to do is just populate Google with websites that will link back to your website, or you can get some little reviews here and there and you can populate your socials and stuff like that. SubmitHub's totally fine for that. That is cheap. You can spend maybe $100 and get 10, 15 publications right up. Instead of spending, $10,000 or whatever on a publicist that might return literally the same stuff. Because yes, I do know some publicists are using SubmitHub, and of course some publicists are paying for inclusion, or they're making their artists pay for that inclusion, which I also, don't support. All right, rant over. This question comes from Dallin Johnson from Berkeley, California. And he says, what made the best music attorney you've worked with the best music attorney you've worked with? Okay. So, great question, Dallin. And I don't like most attorneys, unfortunately. Some of them are fine people. It's just I despise their business model. Again, it's I want to pay for results. I don't like paying for effort. And it's just they charge by the hour and everything is billable. You send them a text. Oh yeah, you're on the fucking clock. All right. An email. Oh, watch out. They could say they spent 2 hours reading that email and getting back to you. You get on a call. Oh my God, do lawyers like to talk? They can go on and on and on and on and on and on. Guess what? I'm paying for that shit. They love hearing themselves talk and they pay for it. So lawyers, unfortunately, they're a necessary evil in this world because of how our whole system is set up. And lawyers, man, are they hard, this business model. But you know what? Yeah, unfortunately, they're needed when you draft contracts. And they're needed, we have AI hasn't completely wiped out the contract drafting just yet. But by God, I hope it wipes them out very soon. It's the way that system's set up, the contract, it's all this circle jerk, excuse my language, of just we're gonna write complicated contracts for us, our complicated, expensive lawyers that only they can understand them and read them. And, all these lawyers are patting themselves on the back and this comma should be over here. And that changes the entire meaning. Boom, $50. Oh, well, what if we change this sentence syntax and we put this over here? And, but let's think about it. In 17 years from now, this could come back to bite us in the ass. So we should spend another $3,000 deliberating this with the other attorneys and back and forth and back and forth. And it's just I don't want to have been vulgar enough. This contest. It is just a flex match back and forth, and I can't stand it. Frankly, I can't stand lawyers that just flex to flex and waste their clients' money and show them, oh, look, I'm going to get you the best. They're not getting you the best deal. They're getting them the best deal. They're making the most money for them. So I've hired many lawyers in my day. What is some of made the best music attorney? Well, the ones that were very generous with their time. And I shouldn't say generous. That is far too generous of a word for them. The attorneys that are good are the ones that, will offer up information without charging me for it every single time. And honestly, I've fired lawyers that have done that. And I've been so pissed off from they're like, oh, let's hop on a call, to talk about it. And not on the clock, I just want to outline what the services would be if you decide to engage. It was like, okay, cool. And then I was on a call with them and I was like, okay, so if we decide to go down this route, how is this going to go? And how long do you think it's going to take? What do you think the success rate? Like, have you had, success in the past? And how does this typically work? And they're like, well, I'd have to be on the clock to answer that question. I'm just like, all right, call over, never mind, peace, never going to speak to you again. I can't stand those kinds of attorneys. Now, granted, this is their business model. They're making their bed, they're laying in it. I don't like the business model, but the best attorneys are the ones that are not always putting you on the clock and, they are looking for relationship building and realize, you know what? I'm gonna shave off a good amount of time and be generous with my knowledge base because I believe in the long term it's gonna all work out and pay out. That's like if I was, people ask me, DM me questions all the time or whatever, and I look at yeah, I consult too. I charge $1,000 an hour when I'm consulting people. Not musicians. I don't do that. It's big companies that can afford that. But that's my rate. What am I going to charge someone and be like, oh, well, it took me 17 minutes to answer this DM. And so that's going to cost you $400. I'm going to send you a bill. Like, come on. No, so lawyers, they frustrate me. I would say before hiring any lawyer, you want to do a preliminary interview. All of them will do one. And you want to make sure that, do the gut check. Does it feel okay? Are they generous with their information that they're sharing with you? Or are they holding it back to wait until you're on the clock? Because that's nonsense. Do they seem like they are only in it for the money? Do they genuinely believe in what you're doing? And if so, are they willing to work for, a commission of the deals that they're going to get you or something like that? Or are they like, all right, let's get you on a retainer right now and send over $2,000 to start that retainer. And then it's like, all right, yeah, maybe that's not the right time. So lawyers, again, unfortunately, yes, you need to engage them when you're doing contract negotiations and stuff like that. For this and that, it's unfortunate, God forbid you get into any litigation and you need to retain counsel for that. That's unfortunate. But it's set up for the rich. It really honestly, discourages, and our legal system, our whole justice system is set up, to support the rich. And if you can't afford a good lawyer in any capacity, we're not going to even get into the other aspects of the discussion, then you're fucked. And that's just how it goes. I'm sorry that was a little aggressive for the attorneys that are listening to this. But for the attorneys that are listening to this, maybe do better. Maybe don't try to shake down emerging artists and artists in general, and really put yourself in their shoes and be like, yeah, I know you have a business model you need to eat, but can you get more creative with your business model? Do you believe in the clients you're taking on? Sure, charge big companies a lot of money in your full rate, but when it comes to artists, come up with a better model, because the model right now is just, it's not feasible. And soon enough, AI might take your job. So I would encourage all attorneys to get a little bit more creative, especially when you're working with artists, to really help them out. Why are you an entertainment attorney? Is it just for the money? Because you be a tax attorney or go be whatever. But if you're in entertainment and you're if you're in entertainment and you're specifically working with artists and musicians, then you really should, you're going to have more compassion, and you're going to hopefully change your business model. Yeah. All right. Next question. This comes from Solera. Solera Slays. Great name, from Jersey. When you sign with a music library or sync agent, do they own your masters? This one's a quick and easy one. By and large, no, they do not own your masters. Sync agents, the business model of sync agents, and for those of you that don't know what sync agents are the ones that are kind of the intermediaries between the artist and the music supervisors who get your songs, place your songs on TV shows and movies and trailers and video games and commercials and that kind of stuff. Sync agents are kind of these, they call them one-stop shops. One-stops, meaning they've cleared all the rights, and when music supervisors work with sync agents, they know that all the rights are cleared. And so sync agents, their business model is they take a commission. I've seen anywhere from 20 to 50% commission. If any sync agent is asking for more than 50%, don't work with them. And they don't own your masters. No, it's usually they've cleared the rights. It's a term. They usually, a term for a couple of years. They have the right, most likely exclusively, to pitch your music to get synced on TV and whatnot. But no, after the term finishes, you can now work with anyone else, and they don't get anything. They don't own anything. Music libraries typically work the same way. However, some of them, you got to be careful because some of them have like staff producers and composers and stuff like that, and some of them do want you to work for hire, meaning you send in compositions or recordings, they pay you for that, and then they want all the rights and they want to own that. So you're going to have to decide for yourself if that's the kind of model that works for you. If you don't care and if you're a composer and you can just kind of pump out, music, sync music all day, then maybe that's fine. That being said, that brings us to another question, which, where did this one go? Somebody asked about... well, I don't remember where this one is, but the question was about, is AI going to kind of replace artists, and how worried should we be about AI and kind of replacing songwriters and producers and stuff like that? This came from let me see, Divi. And Divi is from in India. Divi, the audio nomad, and he's like, do you think AI-generated music poses a risk for artists looking to make it in sync? Wouldn't music directors rather generate original music for next to no cost rather than paying $10,000 in licensing fees and et cetera? That's a great point. So what I see AI doing, I do think AI is going to take the place of music library music very soon, if it's not already doing it. AI music, when it's like I should say, currently what a lot of TV shows do is they have a budget for the episode, and they use that budget mostly for kind of the established songs or artists or like, the songs that are more featured in the episode. And then they remaining little bit of budget, it's for all the kind of auxiliary music. So when you're in a bar and there's like some music playing in the very, very background, and you like can't really hear what the song is or music, it doesn't really matter, you can't really tell, but you need something there just to set the ambiance. That's a lot of times from a library, or even some like simple scored stuff for padded music, or like ambient music, just for the ambiance, really. The way that music supervisors have been turning to libraries for this stuff, where they can license a song or a piece of music for, a few $100. I bet they will start using AI generated music for that. That being said, I think we're a long ways away from music that is going to be as emotionally effective generated from AI. Yes, I've heard the Eminem sample that Diplo or whomever did, and like, it wasn't Diplo, it was someone else. But I've heard what AI is capable of doing, and it's impressive and it's getting there, but it is not to the point where it is making emotionally effective music yet. Hopefully not ever, but maybe. And I think that like we're a long ways away from that. Now, sync music, absolutely. I think that's almost here, if not here right now. Will it create a pop hit? Probably, but like, come on. Pop music, it's like, it's my favorite game right now. When I listen to like the pop charts, I'm like, yeah, that could have been generated by AI. That's pretty copy and paste. Or like, even listening, like there is some music that we hear is like, oh, that's sync music. It's like, yeah, anything that it might take the place of music that just feels disingenuous or shallow. And yeah, I think the artists that write to briefs right now and that are kind of the sync artists that are making a living writing to briefs, that might be, that they might get the jobs replaced pretty quickly, because honestly, a robot might be able to do that a little bit better, or cheaper, I should say. And we all know the music we're talking about. You listen to songs like, all right, that sounds like a sync song or whatever. So, AI is coming, and I would encourage every artist to, you don't want to work against AI. You want to work with it. It's already here. There's nothing we can do about it, except to live in a cabin in the woods off the grid or whatever. But, hopefully it doesn't destroy us anytime soon, and, the music industry. But I think we're a long ways away from it completely taking over and taking artists and songwriters' jobs or producers' jobs. All right. Cool. We're going to call it there. There's going to be another part. This went longer. I didn't get to as many questions as I wanted. I wanted that long rant at the beginning, but stick around. Part 2 is coming very soon, or part 5 or 6, or I've lost track of how many parts we've done of the Q&As. But going to do a bunch more. And again, if you'd like to submit your own questions, you can do it. There's a link in the show notes, but also get on the email list at aristake.com. All right. Peace. Today's episode was edited by Maxton Hunter, theme music by Brass Roots District, and produced by all the great people at Ari's Take.